Afternoon. I'd like to start off the interview by having you introduce yourself and the organization or company that you work for, and possibly sharing your job story with us.
Good afternoon. This is Alex Zylberglait. I am the Senior Managing Director with Marcus & Millichap. Marcus & Millichap is the largest national commercial real estate investment sales organization. We have over 80 offices all over the United States and Canada. We've been around since 1971. And my function is I'm a commercial real estate broker. And so we essentially represent owners of commercial properties throughout the US and buyers as well. And we sell investment real estate as well as advise buyers in the acquisition of commercial properties.
Wow, that's a really cool job. Can you explain to the students what your typical day-to-day job looks like?
Sure. The truth is that there is no typical day-to-day, 2 days that are alike in our business. We wear so many hats. We do so many different things that involve everything from evaluation of a property value, property analysis, underwriting analysis to determine the feasibility of that property, what's the highest and best use for that commercial property and its value. And in the process, we advise our clients based on their goals, their objectives. How does that align with the value of the property and with the state of the market as well? In other words, there could be different needs from different people in terms of financial needs, family needs, et cetera, operational needs or management needs. And based on their needs and their desires, both operational or investment desires, and what we feel the property performance is, so we advise as to some options that they have, whether it is to sell the property, keep the property, refinance the property, or put new financing on the property, or do nothing, or keep the property as is. So there's a lot of options that we do. And so our days really do involve all kinds of activities, whether it's going to a property and walking it. There's nothing better than walking and seeing the actual real estate, the attributes, the tenancy, access, all the different aspects of the property, so we can better understand and better underwrite or analyze, if you will, the value and the position of the property. And some days we don't go to the properties, everything is at the office. We do a lot of negotiations because anytime there's a purchase and sale, buyers want to pay the least amount of money and sellers want to get the most amount of money. So we are the intermediary or the go-between the parties, whether it's sellers, buyers, attorneys, accountants, bankers, etc. So we really are in the middle, if you will, of all the different players that are involved in the process of buying and selling investment real estate. So my day is no different. It's very different, I should say. Every day could be negotiations, could be strictly property analysis, property tours, market analysis, contracts, dealing with contracts and understanding the actual intricacies of structuring and acquisition, due diligence process. In other words, once we go to contract on the property, it also involves analyzing all the different documentation, for example, leases on a particular building, vendor contracts, contracts with third parties like elevator company and janitorial company, utility bills, insurance policies. So we do all that work on behalf of our sellers and buyers, and of course working along the way with lenders, because many times acquisitions do involve financing. So we get to wear many hats throughout the process, and therefore every day is very exciting.
Wow, so it does sound very, very exciting. Can you explain to us what your educational path looked like, and did your education guide you towards this career? And is there anything in particular that that you love about this career?
Yeah, well, my education played an integral role in my activities today. For example, after high school, I went on to work for a few years for a couple of banks to understand how money and lending works, which is, again, it's the lifeblood of our business. I also worked for a developer for a while to understand what the process is like, to understand to acquire a property, what you can do with a property in terms of allowable uses by law, in terms of zoning, restrictions, it's a type of uses, if you will, highest and best use. And then I went on to graduate school. I received a master's in business administration, which gave me a very, very strong and well-rounded background in all kinds of areas, including accounting, finance, marketing, operations. And so having that background really allows me today even to interact better with all kinds of owners and investors of property, because as I said, there's so many aspects of property investing that involve all the different areas that I talked about. So having that background coming into this was absolutely integral. Not only that, just like in any other profession, there's always continuous learning, continuous improvement. And so I've obtained a couple of additional industry-specific designations that not only allow me to stand out from the competition and really be regarded as somebody who's really invests in themselves in terms of knowledge, market expertise, that's really, really critical to whatever industry you choose to be in, to always, always continue to grow, continue to learn, and invest in yourself, because there's always more to learn. So the more you can learn, the better it's going to be. So education absolutely played a key role to this day in terms of my background and what I'm doing this day and age.
Did you go to university, and what did that look like? What was your degree in?
So my undergraduate degree, I went to UCLA in Los Angeles. My degree was actually in geography with a concentration in urban and regional studies, which if you think about it, lays very nicely into what I'm doing today, because you really need to understand as you do property analysis, what is the role of the asset, what are the overall economic conditions in that marketplace, or the economic drivers, if you will, that that particular property type is driven by. In other words, if we're talking about an office building, for example, the number one driver for office buildings tends to be office employment, right? You know, different businesses employ different folks, different people. And so the more employees that businesses employs translates to more demand for office space, okay? And of course, depending on the area, that's going to determine the kind of market rental rates that office building generates, expenses, and how much demand for that space there is, et cetera, et cetera. If you're talking retail, for example, well, you got to look at the discretionary income and the population, or the number of rooftops in that particular area. You can have an area that has, you know, very strong high-end demographics, and you tend to see certain types of retailers locate there that want to cater to those demographics, or you have some other areas that cater to a different kind of demographics that has other types of retailers. Same thing with hotels. Hotels, you can have different demand drivers. Is it pretty much tourism that drives the occupancy in those hotels? Or is it more business-oriented occupants or demand for that hotel, you know, convention business, or, you know, business bookings, if you will. So depending on the property type, that's going to drive that particular product type.
That's very interesting. Can you explain to the students as well? So you don't have a degree in real estate, right? Like you explained. So what is it that you need in order to be able to sell and buy properties? Like, how does that work?
So first of all, you need to have a license. In our case, in the state of Florida, you need to have a Florida real estate license. Every state has its own real estate regulations that you need to follow. So you're going to need to have a real estate license in whatever state or states you want to practice in. In addition to that, you really just need a high school education. You don't technically need to have a college degree, but certainly having a college degree can make a world of difference in terms of your ability to have the knowledge to really understand the different elements or areas that you're going to need to be fluent in, as I mentioned earlier, in order to be successful in this business. So you need to have the technical skills and the real estate skills, which you can acquire in part through school, because many schools do offer real estate classes, whether it's in the college level or graduate school level. Certainly there's plenty of technical opportunities outside of school. And really, a lot of it is going to be hands-on once you get into the real world, being able to identify the right area of real estate that is, attracted to you, and be able to team up with the right mentor, I would say, or the right group of people that are going to really teach you the day-to-day, the ropes of the business, which sometimes is different than the academic world, if you will.
Very interesting. Okay, so I want you now to think back to one of the first jobs you ever had. Can you share whether an experience, whether it be a positive or negative experience, that helped you along the way?
One of the things that attracted me to this business, and I've been in different areas of real estate, even though I'm doing brokerage today. As I said, I was in banking before. I was in consulting. I worked for a national big real estate consulting firm, which was great because it also gave me tremendous amount of exposure and experience in all areas of real estate, whether it be development, finance, public-private partnerships, market analysis, financial analysis. You really do have to be well-rounded because we do touch so many different sub-areas, as I mentioned earlier. As far as an experience, I would say having worked for this consulting company really exposed me to all facets of the business, which again, I think really prepared me to once I launched on my own, because really what I'm doing today is a very entrepreneurial side of the business. In other words, the way we work, we're very much 100% commission-based, meaning, we only get paid for the success that we generate. Okay, let me say that again. I don't get paid every day or every 2 weeks a paycheck. It's very entrepreneurial, meaning I have to motivate myself every day to get up early, to work very hard, because I know that I am project-based, and when I complete those projects successfully, that's when I get paid. I don't get paid by the hour. I don't get paid by the weeks or by the months. It's solely a function of project completion, successful project completion. And so really no different, if you will, than if you're a lawyer, a doctor, an accountant. We don't sell products. I don't get a profit of selling a particular product. We sell expertise. We provide advisory services. Same thing with other professionals, whether, like I said, as a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant. And so the difference with them is that they, for the most part, they generate income by the number of hours they bill, or number of patients they see, or in the case of a dentist, number of teeth they drill, for example. And so in my case is how many transactions do we close? And again, it can be very lucrative. You can make a lot of money doing what we do, but it's not for everyone. So at the end of the day, being a broker and playing all the different roles that I play, it's still, at the end of the day, it's a very highly compensated sales position. Okay, so you need to have not only the technical skills, you also need to have the people skills. It's just as important as the technical skills. And so you need to be very resilient. You need to be very, very disciplined, very hardworking. And you need to see this really not as a sprint, but as a marathon. Because our transactions that we close, they don't happen in a matter of days, they don't happen in a matter of weeks. They typically happen in a matter of months. And quite frankly, you can go literally months without making any money whatsoever. And so not everybody has the staying power, the wherewithal, both financially or the patience to wait. And so it's not for everyone, but for those that make it and do well in this, it could be a very, very rewarding career.
That also brings a good point where, financial literacy and knowing how to manage your money and your own finances is very important.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this program is geared towards 8th grade students. So I'm going to take you back to your 8th grade self, and I want you to give your younger self advice. What would you say to your 8th grade self?
Well, I'm not sure if the 8th graders do know. They probably do know about compound interest, right? But
I
let me
hope
refresh in case,
so.
in case they don't or they don't remember. Compound interest, without getting too academic here, basically states that interest, or when you invest money, if you invest $1 today, every day, so today I'm going to put $1 away, tomorrow $1. So tomorrow, if I put $1 today and I put $1 tomorrow, you would tell me, well, you have $2 now, right? Well, not really. If you want to get really technical, because when you invest $1 today, that money, okay, if you put it in a bank or a different kind of security or an investment, that money should generate a return. So let's say I invest $1 today, and let's say, for very simple simplification's sake, let's say that I make 10% a day on my money, which is very high. That's unlikely, but I'm trying to make the math simple here. So if I give you $1 today, that means that tomorrow I'm going to have $1.10, right? 10% of $1 is 10 cents. So if I put $1 today and I put $1 tomorrow, instead of having $2 invested, I'm going to have $2.10, right? The dollar I spent in day one, that I invest in day one, plus the 10 cents that I earned in interest, plus the additional dollar. So by the end of the second day, I'm going to have not $2, but $2.10. That's called compound interest. And if you do the math, as time goes on, the earlier you invest and you save money, the more money you're going to have. So the example that I gave you, if you put $1 every day, at the end of the year, you're not going to have $365. You're going to have a lot more than that, because every dollar would have been earning interest every day until the end of the year. So, and of course, if you carry that out over time, it just grows exponentially. Okay? So to answer your question, the advice I would give myself is probably, if I could have started what I'm doing earlier than when I did, even though I don't regret the experience, I've got great experience, and part of the reason for my success is because I've had that experience. I think I would have started doing what I'm doing today earlier than I would have, because I would have invested earlier in my knowledge and my expertise, and I would have developed those relationships in the marketplace a lot sooner, because at the end of the day, people like to do business with people. And when you plant those seeds, when you develop those relationships with different potential clients, over time, that grows like compound interest. And so having that growth, those relationships over time would grow your business, like I said, exponentially, that much stronger. So the earlier you know what you're passionate about, the earlier you know what you really want to do, dive into it, dedicate yourself, don't look back, be the best you can be in that particular trade or area, and success will come to you. Don't worry about the money. You do what you do and what you like, be the best at it, and the money will be there, as they say.
That's great advice, Alex. Thank you very much. Junior Achievement really appreciates you taking your time today and speaking with us. And, thank you.
My pleasure. Junior Achievement is a great organization. Proud to be part of it.